Oh, this is the Kudlow Report. That's right, folks. My lead story tonight is an exclusive interview with Congressman Ron Paul. He's still very much a factor in the Republican race. And the sizzle story today is the shocking charge that Ron Paul has an alliance with Mitt Romney that could lead to his son, Senator Rand Paul, being installed as the Romney vice president. Take a listen to all this. Joining us exclusively now is Texas Republican Congressman and presidential candidate Ron Paul. Dr. Paul, welcome back to the show, as always, sir. And let me begin with this.
Thank you.
Rick Santorum was whining this morning on the Laura Ingraham radio show. He's whining that you are attacking him too much and you never attack Mitt Romney, and he's accusing you of having an alliance with Mitt Romney. What's your reaction? I thought this would be a great spot for you to respond to this Santorum business.
Well, if anybody would check the record very carefully, you know, I've had Mitt in the ads as well earlier on, and call him a flip-flop and all these things. But I think, you know, I think it's partially strategy. You know, if I have to compete against Mitt Romney, I have to take away the votes from the other people who are competing with me. So it's a bit of strategy, but it's also he's you know, topping the polls right now, and I'm very honest about his voting record. You know, it wasn't like I think I make it up, and I try very hard to stick to the voting record when I criticize, but he really wasn't a real good conservative, you know, when he was in the Senate.
No, that's the thing. You called him a fake during the debate, and I wondered if you'd expand on that thought.
Well, it was whether or not I would defend it, because that's in our ad, because he pretends he's the most conservative, and he's the conservative alternative to Romney. But I, you know, philosophically, I don't see a whole lot of difference. But Rick has gotten himself into more trouble because he was the whip. And, you know, when he said he's a team player, that's one of the things that has annoyed me the most, because when they're whipping you and they think they can get your vote, they finally come down. The ultimate test is for the speaker to come to somebody in the House and say, you got to do it. You got to be part of the team. And so this is what Santorum was going. This is a team thing. And I think that's what is wrong. That's what I said in the debates. I think that's what's wrong with Washington. No, it isn't. It's good economic policy, good foreign policy, follow the oath of office, follow your promises. But it's not to go along to get along and to participate. I don't know if you've recognized over the years, when we have a Republican president, the Republican Congress sort of wimps out. The Republican Congress, right now, the Republicans in the Congress vote. I vote much more with them now. But when we had a Republican president, that wasn't the case. And I think when Santorum was there, he had to defend, you know, the moderate policy of a moderate president, and that's how he gets himself into trouble. But to claim he's a real sound fiscal conservative, I think that's where I think he's faking it.
Well, let me just take this up. Okay, he's faking it. My friend Joe Scarborough, TV pundit and so forth, former House member, you probably know him. Joe Scarborough has been speculating and ruminating that you do have an alliance with Mr. Romney, but Scarborough's take is, and I want to get your reaction to this, that it's about your son, Senator Rand Paul, because there could be a deal that Rand Paul will go on the Romney ticket as vice president or will serve in a position in the cabinet in a Romney administration. So now we've gone from a potential, from whining from Santorum to an alliance between you and Romney in order to get Senator Rand Paul a job as VP or cabinet secretary. Your reaction to that train of thinking?
Well, I don't think my son needs my help to get him a job. Besides, I think that's a distraction from Rick's performance, because he knows now that he was knocked down a few points, and therefore he has to distract from that and say it's some sinister or some type of alliance, and the media likes that kind of stuff. But the truth is, Rand and I have never had a talk along those lines. You know what the political strategy is, because there really isn't any. There are times when different candidates align themselves in different ways depending on what states. But I have to admit, it's been easier to talk. My staff has an easier time talking to Mitt Romney, and of course I've known him for a long time, and you know, at least we're respectful to each other, which is somewhat a little bit different than what happens with the other candidates.
But you can say there is no clear alliance between you and Mr. Romney.
Absolutely not, because it would be foolish on his part. And I think I did hear something this morning. They were interviewing Governor Pawlenty, and they were saying, yeah, there's some conspiracy and there's a backroom deal. And I thought Pawlenty, cleared it up pretty well. He says, if you think Ron Paul is going to do a backroom deal, you've got another thought coming, something along those lines.
All right, we'll leave it all there. I just want you to be clear and go on the record on that. Let me ask you, I want to talk taxes. You and I often talk about the Fed and money and so forth, but I thought we'd talk taxes this evening. Romney has come out with this 20% across-the-board tax cut. I wondered what you thought about it. And I wondered especially, sir, specifically, what does your tax reform plan look like?
Well, my ultimate goal would, of course, be get rid of the income tax and get rid of the corporate tax, but that's a ways off, because you have to change the role of government. You have to change the attitude that we police the world and we have an entitlement system. But, when I look at a bill or a proposal like that, if I have to accept it or reject it up or down, anything that lowers taxes, I'm for. In any way whatsoever, I'm going to lower taxes, but I'm always willing to cut the spending as well.
But have you set any targets on the way to getting rid of the income tax, a goal devoutly to be desired? But on the meantime, I mean, Romney now has a top rate of 28%. Santorum has a top rate of 28%. Gingrich has a flat tax option with 15%. Have you ever pinpointed any of those specifics?
Well, anything that's lower. I mean, I aim for 0. If I could get it, if they want 28, I want 25. If they want 25, I'm going to aim for 20. But that is secondary to the spending, so we have to deal with the whole program. But no, I think what was in my proposal was a corporate tax of 15, but it doesn't give us the answer. It's this whole attitude that we have to collect all these revenues, and if you don't collect the revenues, you have the debt. And so that's why we have to address the spending and the deficit.
But let me just dwell for a moment on the dollar. Oil prices, as you well know, oil prices are surging again. Gasoline prices are surging. A lot of people are blaming it on potential crisis with Iran. Some people are blaming because we don't drill enough. I just want to ask you, from your perspective, your Austrian free market view and your sound money view, is it possible that the chronic rise in the price of oil is because of the chronic devaluation or weakness or lack of confidence in the dollar? Is the dollar the key to the oil price, or is there other external factors?
No, I think the dollar is the key, but there's the other factors too. The Iranian crisis, the potential that the war is going to start there. So I always look to the oil price as maybe some serious talk behind the scenes that they're actually getting ready to do something, which scares the living daylights out of me.
Let me just ask you quickly. You mentioned that you're scared to death about what Iran might do, and there could be a war in the Middle East. You are known for your non-interventionist foreign policy. If Iran did declare war in the Middle East, if Iran closed the Strait of Hormuz, which probably drive oil prices at least temporarily to $200 a barrel, would you, as President Paul, take any action against Iran in those events?
Well, first off, there's 0 chance of that happening. They're not suicidal. They're under the gun. They're surrounded by 45 United States air bases and military bases around their country with the Navy over there. So they're not going to commit suicide. But the only time, and they're not threatening to close down the Straits of Hormuz unless they're attacked. They're trying to say, look, you better be careful. We might retaliate, and we might try. But I don't even think they will then, too, because they're going to lose as much as we would lose, because they have to export their oil as well. But the foolishness of this is driving the Iranians into the arms of the Chinese. And first we have, a new government in Iraq, and it's not all that friendly. It's breaking down. And we've driven Iraq into the arms of the Iranians, and the Iranians into the arms of the Chinese. The Chinese are making a lot of money from us, and what are they doing? They're investing around the world. They're investing in oil and energy in Iran and in Africa and the different places. Right. So I think our policy is just foolhardy.
All right. I'm going to leave it there. Congressman Ron Paul, as always, sir, we enjoy interviewing you. All the best on the campaign trail.
Thank you, Larry.
All right. Very interesting stuff. Now,